Now on CoastTV News.
A final farewell, how the world will say goodbye to Pope Francis as the Vatican finalizes funeral arrangements. Crossing the line, Delaware State Police slam a social media post they call disrespectful. And sweet additions, an update on the future fast food proposals in Milton.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
The Vatican releasing details today on funeral arrangements for Pope Francis. Good evening. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Welcome to CoastTV News at 11. We begin tonight with formal ceremonies honoring Pope Francis. The Pope's body has been lying in state in the Casa Santa Marta residence. Tomorrow, his coffin will be transferred to St. Peter's Basilica, where the public will be able to visit him and pay their final respects. David Ushery spent the day at the Vatican and tells us how people there are remembering Pope Francis.
At the setting of the Roman sun, the collective cadence of faith and prayer could be heard in St. Peter's Square.
Et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Jesus.
They prayed for the improved health of Francis here in much the same way, now praying for his rest in peace. Francis displayed for the first time. For now, the ritual gatekeeper is the Irish-American Cardinal Kevin Farrell, once a bishop in Dallas. Vatican employees who worked in Casa Santa Marta, where Francis lived, lining up to bid farewell. Francis wanted to keep some of the pomp and circumstance at bay when he outlined his wishes for his funeral, but his 13 years on the global stage will command the gaze of the world, says longtime Vatican analyst Marco Politi.
Because he was a pope who was not like an emperor or like a king. He wanted to be a human being speaking to human beings. And he thought that to be Christian doesn't mean that you go to Mass on Sunday and you forget about the lives of other people, but you have to care about people. You have to care about your neighbor.
As the cardinals continue to gather to ponder past, present, and future, the Vatican prepares to move the body of Francis to St. Peter's,
Buona Pasqua,
where not fully 2 days ago, he wished everyone happy Easter.
It was brilliant for the city of the Vatican to hear what he had to say, and he got the applause that he deserved.
Closer to home now, we have an update tonight about two fast food proposals in Milton. Yes, we're talking about plans to build a Dairy Queen and a Dunkin' Donuts, both on Broadkill Road. Milton's Planning and Zoning Commission gave both projects preliminary approval in a meeting earlier this evening. And people we spoke with say they're excited about the possibility of more food options in town.
A Dairy Queen would be nice because just going to get ice cream, take them to get ice cream, and then not have to get like Kings and stuff right away.
I think a lot of the bigger corporations, all those businesses are franchised, so they are really local. Someone locally owns those businesses, and they're just using the big franchisee recipes, if you will.
Now, more approvals are needed before a Dairy Queen and or a Dunkin' Donuts will officially be built in Milton. The Dairy Queen is planned for 405 Broadkill Road. The Dunkin' Donuts planned for right next door at 403 Broadkill Road. Well, new tonight at 11, Delaware State Police are responding to a social media post from news outlet First State Update. The post featured an edited image of a state trooper in uniform with alterations made to that uniform DSP is calling the post, quote, unacceptable and disrespectful. And in a statement, Delaware State Police Superintendent said, quote, this mockery of service and sacrifice defames our agency's credibility and the entire first responder community, unquote. We're taking a live look outside now into Lewis, and our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams joins us now with a check on our weather. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Christina. And right now we're getting an opportunity to enjoy relatively mild conditions outside, and we're going to stay mild for tomorrow as well. But you know, the big caveat or the big concern we'll be dealing with actually allergies affecting my voice right now as we speak, actually, and I didn't even know I had. allergies. All right, Spicer Brothers Cameron Salisbury right now holding steady in the 70s. We'll drop to 63 degrees with partly cloudy skies by 2 o'clock. Our live radar is indicating we're looking mainly clear. We got a couple of random sprinkles that pushed across Willards and towards Ocean Pines for just a quick moment. Now, what small amount of precipitation is pushing because of the cold front sliding through, this low pressure system is not necessarily an ornery character. It's more mischievous at best, creating a quick little spot shower here or there, but that's going to dissipate pretty quickly as soon as it pushes through. But for Wednesday, we're looking for mild conditions, and really we're going to be watching out for pollens going crazy, and we'll talk more about that coming up in a moment. Till then, back to you, Christina.
Thank you, Paul. Well, DelDOT has announced some speed limit changes along Coastal Highway from Dewey Beach to the Delaware-Maryland state line. The first changes went into effect April 21st. Now, if you're heading south from Dewey Beach to about Conquest Road, it used to be 55 miles per hour. Now, according to DelDOT, that's changing to 35 miles per hour. And northbound from just before Conquest Road to Dewey Beach, that was also 55 miles per hour. It's now changing to 50. Well, cheaper housing and more of it. That's the goal of the Milton Planning and Zoning Commission as they took a look tonight at two proposals. The first, an ordinance to change zoning codes to allow for accessory dwelling units, which neighboring areas like Milford and Lewis have already done. The second proposal is a mandatory inclusionary housing policy. It would require that new residential developments over 10 acres include a percentage of affordable housing units within them. Some Milton locals say they're on board.
I think it's a great idea. It's uplifting the people instead of being a product of their environment.
And in February, the Affordable Housing Ad Hoc Committee sent over 8 different recommendations to the Planning and Zoning Commission for affordable housing in Milton. Now, just some of those recommendations include providing at Town Hall an informational kiosk, including programs for homeowners that provide financial assistance for the repairs or reconstruction of homes. The committee also recommends to designate a town employee with the responsibility to make locals aware of those programs. Now to Millsboro. A Millsboro mother filed a complaint with the Delaware Department of Education over the treatment of her daughter at East Millsboro Elementary School. Tammy Johnson says her daughter has disorders that require special accommodations. Johnson says she was told the school was following her daughter's individual education plan when she acted out. However, state documents show that was not the case.
One stated that it was a fire drill and she acted out and they had to restrain her. Well, part of her IEP is transitioning and loud noises, where she has to be prepared and notified before certain things happen, and they have to remove her earlier, which they did not.
Now, according to the state complaint decision, the district now needs to conduct professional development with all special education staff regarding individualized education plans. That needs to be done by May 15th. Moving to Ocean City now, taxi fares, they haven't changed since 2014 until now. On April 21st, the mayor and council approved a fare hike. They say that Uber and Lyft have been taking rides away from taxis for years now. Also that the cost of gas, insurance, and repairs keep going up, but taxi rates stayed the same.
We hadn't authorized a rate increase in over 10 years, and obviously they were struggling a little bit in a very similar market with the rideshare services.
And so now Ocean City taxi cabs can increase initial fares from $3.20 to $4.16. Delaware is taking steps to craft an updated plan to protect the state's wildlife. DenRec is in the process right now of revising its wildlife action plan for the next 10 years, which the state says will guide the management of wildlife and habitats. DenRec says the theme of the updated plan is keeping today's wildlife from becoming tomorrow's memories. And the public does have the chance to share their thoughts on a new plan at upcoming informational sessions. Those are in July and August. And speaking of the environment, Mother Nature gave the gift of sunshine this Earth Day. People in Ocean Pines marked the occasion with a cleanup event in partnership with Beach Heroes OC. Pat Ryan Garcia, who chairs Ocean Pines Environment and Natural Assets Advisory Committee, he says what a better time to hold a cleanup than Earth Day.
It's a great idea for people to get out, get some fresh air, get some exercise, and at the same time, they're doing something nice for our community.
And Beach Heroes OC is partnering with other local organizations for another Earth Day event. That's semi-annual community cleanup at the Worcester County Library this Saturday. And this does bring us to our Coast TV poll tonight. We want to know, what is your favorite way to give back to nature? Let's take a look at the updated results. Take a look at your screen. You can see 50% are big on recycling. They say recycling more is their favorite way to give back. Some saying planting trees, beach cleanups. We saw a few of those today on Earth Day here along the coast, or helping wildlife. We want to know what you think, though. It's not too late to vote, so head over to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. And we are just getting started tonight. Coming up ahead, new efforts to clean invasive algae from Salisbury's waterways. We'll tell you how. Plus, continued fallout after these two former Millville firefighters are charged with a hate crime.
Here's a look at your Bay forecast. In Cambridge, we'll go with 71 degrees on Wednesday, 74 and more sunshine on Thursday, and we'll stay with 74 on Friday with a few more clouds. Your full forecast coming up in about 60 seconds. Well, we're finally getting an opportunity to enjoy summer-like temps, summer-like sunshine, but unfortunately what comes with that is summertime pollen. And that's going to be a complicated situation, and I'm going to show you why in a moment. Our Irish Eyes camera in Lewis right now, we're holding at about 64 degrees with mostly to partly cloudy skies at this point. Now, the cloud cover, where it's only partly, will become mostly an overcast throughout the rest of the night as we stay pretty close to the 60-degree mark thanks to the thick cloud cover. Now, here's a look at the temperatures. We're at 65 at Bethany Beach, but we're also at 65 degrees in Milton, 66 in Wren, 69 right now in Georgetown. Winds are now just kind of gently swirling at this point at about 5-mile-per-hour gusts. That's not really that big of a deal. We do see scattered showers, scattered sprinkles pushing its way through Gulf Coast shores. We have one isolated cell that's just making its way over just south of Oakville, and it's actually creating a little bit of hail. That isolated cell is extremely isolated. It's just one little wrinkle in the fabric of what's happening with the forecast overall. We're looking totally clear in Cambridge right now, so that's what you would technically call a true anomaly, but it is connected to a cold front that's pushing through, and the low pressure system that's helping to inspire that is not necessarily that deep or significant of a low pressure system, but it is along a frontal boundary, so that will allow for just a small amount of destabilization on a very macro scale, on a small scale. But that being the case, I don't see it becoming a bigger problem than this. This being the pollen forecast, particularly for Wednesday. High for us on trees, very high with mold, at least moderate for grass, and that's going to start coming up now that the grass is starting to get cut here. And this is early in the game for me to start telling you, hey, start getting that EpiPen ready and all that kind of stuff. In fact, when you take a look at the tree pollens, they are becoming outrageous because oak, ash, birch, and maple, all four are sky high. Highs for tomorrow, in the 70s inland, 60s along the coast, 62 Rehoboth, 71 Georgetown, 75 actually in Cambridge. Winds out of the west-northwest, 5 to 10 miles per hour, 66 in Berlin, but 62 for the high in Ocean City. So for Wednesday, by lunchtime, we're at about 50 degrees, and we'll rise into the 70s. We'll do the same thing for Thursday and stay relatively clear for Thursday. Now, as far as the southern portion of our viewing area, by the afternoon is when we'll clear out on Wednesday. And then as we go into Thursday, we'll stay clear with temperatures in the 40s, then bouncing back to about the mid to lower 70s for the rest of the region. Our precipitation chances will escalate on Saturday, primarily on Saturday. So when you take a look at Chincoteague, we're getting increasing cloud cover by Friday in 68, but not rain. We'll see the clouds thicken by Friday on Ocean City, 62, Fenwick Island, 68 on Friday. And then for Lewis as well as Rehoboth, we're looking at 69 and 66 degrees, both of those locations. For tonight, 56, partly cloudy skies, 71 for tomorrow. Still, that's above the norm for this time of the year. And then Thursday, we're even warmer with sunshine. Finally, here's a look at the extended forecast. And we're going to stay in the 70s, watching out for those thunderstorms that kick in hard by Saturday.
Thank you. On your screen now are the two ex-Millville firefighters that were arrested for felony hate crime. Jay Droney and Jordan Hastings. Police say they chased a paid employee around with a noose while saying racial slurs. And the two are facing 3 different charges: conspiracy and hate crime, which are both felonies, and harassment. If convicted on the maximum of all 3 charges, the two could face up to 5 years in prison total. Droney and Hastings are scheduled to have a preliminary hearing on May 1st. Now, the arrests and details surrounding the charges continue to draw ire in Sussex County. As Coast TV reporter Zakia Jennings reports, the local NAACP branch is calling for changes.
These are the faces of the 2 individuals who detectives say were seen on video chasing a paid employee with a noose. The actions they're accused of have stirred up debate, hurt, and reaction from local racial justice organizations. Kurt Bacon, president of the Lower Sussex branch of the NAACP, says he supports the fire department immediately revoking their memberships.
Do what he did. It was the right, to me, it was the right move.
Bacon says what happened in Millville is not an isolated situation.
We know about the one in Lewis Fire Department. They suspended the guy, but they also need to make him do extensive diversity training.
Bacon is talking about in September of 2024, a firefighter was heard using a racial slur geared towards African Americans over the radio. With that incident and this recent hate crime charge in Millville, Bacon is now calling for proper training for all fire departments.
The Chiefs Association, the Volunteer Fire Chiefs Associations, need to address it and need to teach their folks about being diversified. It may be a reason why you can't get new recruits in your fire departments.
Bacon says diversity training needs to be incorporated into the curriculum at the Delaware State Fire School.
Now, we also spoke with the executive director of the Southern Delaware Alliance for Racial Justice. He says he wants the men accused to go to jail, but that will ultimately be decided by the justice system. Now, the Millville Fire Department says it is actively evaluating current policies when it comes to diversity and reporting inappropriate behavior.
Part of the training that we're going through is to come up with ways to show how you can report easily and how others can report on your behalf more easily. So, this stuff gets handled, much sooner or closer to the actual event.
And Coast TV has been covering this story from the beginning. We have all of the information, including those court documents, on CoastTV.com. Coming up next after the break, Social Security cuts continue. The federal agency is offering another round of buyouts.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
The Social Security Administration is once again looking to cut some employees. The federal agency offering another round of buyouts to its workers, looking to release roughly 7,000 staffers in this go-around. Employees have until Friday to take the offer. Those who do will leave their positions on May 5th, but will get paid through September. Earlier this year, nearly 400 Social Security workers accepted the first buyout program. Well, experts say this is the most significant religious-related appeal to the Supreme Court that the Supreme Court has confronted in years. It's the fight over whether school teachers can read LGBTQ+ books to elementary school students without giving parents with religious objections the ability to opt their kids out. The U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments today. Sherelle Hubbard has perspectives from both sides of the case.
It's a fight over First Amendment religious rights.
We're hoping for the right decision. The right decision is for the parents to make the decision, not the government.
And elementary school children are at the center. One side maintains that it's about inclusion.
Inclusion has always been on the pulse of progress.
But a group of Muslim, Christian, and Jewish parents sued Montgomery County, Maryland schools over religious objections to LGBTQ+ books being read in elementary schools without giving parents the ability to opt their kids out. Eric Baxter is vice president of Beckett Law Firm. They're representing the parents challenging the policy and say they express optimism about the court's eventual ruling.
They seem very concerned about the content of the school books, the instruction to teachers to disrupt students either or thinking about sex, to rewrite the norms. and to just really do things that are contrary to the things that their parents are trying to teach them.
The lawsuit doesn't seek to ban the books, but it does seek to allow parents to opt their children out of classroom discussions and reading of the books. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, a President Barack Obama appointee, addressed that point.
Many of the affidavits that the parents put here said they don't mind teaching respect and kindness towards people who are different.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
Coming up in sports tonight, some Henlopen baseball between Polytech and Milford. Which side would pick up its second straight win? And coming up, simple habits that are good for you and good for Earth in tonight's Health Minute.
Here's a look at your golf forecast as you're lining up your putt. Remember, it's going to be good to perfect because we're looking for summer sunshine again with temperatures in the 70s.
In health news tonight, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says the government will phase out all artificial dyes from the food supply by the end of next year. Under the plan, the Food and Drug Administration will give the food industry roughly 2 years to transition from petroleum-based synthetic dyes to natural alternatives. The FDA will authorize 4 new food dyes it says are derived from natural sources in the coming weeks.
Now, there's no one ingredient that accounts for the child chronic disease epidemic. And let's be honest, taking petroleum-based food dyes out of the food supply is not a silver bullet that will instantly make America's children healthy. But it is one important step.
And officials say phasing out artificial dyes will not increase food prices. Moving on now, it is Earth Day, as we already said, a time to bring awareness to ways that we can all help our environment. Even small changes can not only benefit the planet, but also your mental health and your physical health. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither talks to a doctor about healthy habits that also help Earth.
It's the only home we have, but caring for Earth and your health are two things you can do at once.
I think it's a win-win situation.
Dr. Sophia Asphalt with Cleveland Clinic says small changes can make a big difference for your body and mind and your planet. First, get outside and enjoy it by biking, walking, or running more. You can get to where you're going without relying on a vehicle, which reduces emissions into the air.
And these improve our physical health by improving weight management. It could also improve our cardiovascular health. It may even lower cholesterol levels.
Asphalt says to also consider changes to your diet. Buying local, fresh fruits and veggies can help you eat healthy and reduce food transportation emissions. She says to also think about moving towards a more plant-based diet to reduce your carbon footprint and give you healthy alternatives.
While not everyone wants to have a solely plant-based food diet, it may be an important part of a healthy, balanced diet.
Finally, Asphalt says focus on green hobbies like gardening or even planting trees. These activities can promote physical and mental health by getting you moving outside in nature, and you may even grow your own healthy food.
No thing is too small, and collectively we can all make a difference for our health and for the health of our planet.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Over in Milford earlier tonight, we had some Henlopen baseball between two teams on the rise. Polytech took on Milford with each side seeking its second straight win. And how about some Henlopen baseball? It's Polytech and Milford. We head to the top of the 7th. Panthers ahead 4-2. Runners on first and second. Elijah Benton puts down a bunt for Polytech, and everybody's safe. So that means bases loaded and no outs for Ryan Zimmerman. The lefty steps into the box and he gets the job done. He grounds out to second, but it's enough as a run scores from third, and he puts Polytech ahead 5-2. And that would be all she wrote as Polytech beats the Bucks on the road 9-4. And we're less than a week away from a new season of our ongoing docu-series Into the Trenches. This time, we follow the Cape Henlopen Vikings as they embark on a new voyage into their 2024 football season.
The late run last season and then trying to explain that we're a different team.
You got to work harder because you went to the state chip, because there's a target on your head.
Understanding the stresses that these kids are under it's a little bit unique for me.
The expectations are high.
You're going to practice the way you play.
We can push even further this year and hopefully make a run for it again.
Into the Trenches, a new voyage. April 24th at 7:30 on the Delmarva Sports Network and DSN Plus. Sponsored by Preston Automotive.
That'll do it for sports. Have a great night, everyone.
Here's our tidal health camera in Salisbury. We're looking relatively clear right now. Temperatures are going to fall back into the lower 60s by 3 o'clock with partly to mostly cloudy skies. Our umbrella winner, Janice Henning of Millsboro. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration and Home Remodeling. Listen, if you need the forecast, you can call our weather line, 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away. Sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstead, Mandalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast.
Looks good to me. Thanks, Paul, and thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11 tonight. For some more local news and local weather, you can always find that on our Coast TV News app. Coming up next, The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, and we'll see you back tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.